Hello, Brentwood, and welcome to this week's Town Hall podcast.
Gather round, folks, it's that time again. Brentwood Joe's Town Hall, let the chat begin. What's going on in town? Let's lift up our voice. Yard sales, helping hands, together we rejoice. Got a question on your mind, or something to share? We'll talk about taxes, we'll get it all laid bare. Your opinion matters, let it be known. In the heart of this town, together
We had several important discussion and action items tonight. Salt contract approval. Wayne Robinson presented on the town's salt needs. Current situation. The price for Mortan salt, which we've used for over 20 years, increased from $69 a ton to $71.65 a ton. Last winter, we estimated 2,250 tons, but used 2,850 tons, which included salting half of the Three Ponds campground. Wayne anticipates needing salt for the remaining half of Three Ponds Campground and a new development on South Road. To ensure we have enough supply for potential heavy winters, Wayne recommended increasing the order to 3,000 tons. This extra quantity is only used if needed. This would bring the total cost to approximately $214,950. Our current budget has about $37,000 left for sand, salt, and cold patch. Last year's salt budget was cut to $45,000 from an initial $170,000. The hope is that the remaining $37,000 will cover current needs and the new contract will fund next year's winter. We also have a plan for Chris Beebe to haul sand during storms to prevent freezing. A motion was made and approved to sign the contract for 3,000 tons of salt. Daphne Voss discussed the need for an additional voting machine. The new voting machines are slower due to technology, and a second machine is needed to prevent long lines for voters. The machine itself is $7,500. Daphne has $1,500 left in her budget from a tax collectors conference. She is seeking $6,000 from other budget areas. The machine needs to be ordered by the 1st of November to arrive for March elections. Each machine costs $500 to program per election. Our finance person, Julie Stevens, will look into the budget to find the $6,000. We have several important personnel updates to share. Andy Gray, our recreation director, tendered his resignation, effective the 11th of September. We will be posting this position. We recently terminated the welfare director position and have appointed Laura Hager in the interim. This position will also be posted. Andrea Hansen, our town administrator, resigned effective the 20th of August, and that position has also been posted. There is a vacancy for the trustee of trust funds due to Linda Guerin moving out of town. This is a select board appointment and will be posted. We will also explore an interim appointment. Due to John Morgan's resignation on the 31st of August, there is a vacancy on the select board. RSA 669:63 states that vacancies shall be filled by appointment made by the remaining selectmen. The Secretary of State's office confirmed this is a requirement. The vacancy can be filled by any registered voter in Brentwood. We will open up the process and ask interested parties to submit a letter of intent or fill out our committee form. Applications are due by the night of the 15th of September, and the board aims to make an appointment decision on the 16th of September. Jillian will post this announcement on Facebook and other platforms. This appointment will fill the position until the next town meeting, where the remainder of the one-year term will be voted on by the town. With Mr. Morgan's departure, we've had to adjust. Andy Artemovich has volunteered to fill in for the upcoming school board meeting on Monday and will cover the recreation meeting on the 24th of September if the director position is not yet filled. We need to look into and sign an extension for KRT, our assessing company, to go along with the MS1 extension. We plan to address this next week. Our finance director, Julie Stevens, provided several important updates. Julie and Ambrose are attending a financial policy certificate program through the New Hampshire Municipal Association starting tomorrow. This program covers internal control, segregation of duties, fraud and risk, and various financial policies. Julie is recommending that we start paying many vendors electronically. She has identified at least 24 vendors. This change is expected to be more efficient, safer, reduce fraud, be quicker, and save money on checks and postage. The board supports this move towards efficiency. Greg, our CPA, is working to bring our finances up to date. He has reconciled the general account through December 2024 and is working with staff to finalize postings in our BMSI software. He has also started reconciliations for 2025 and is addressing impact fees and other revolving accounts. Greg anticipates being done in a couple of weeks, by mid-month, and will not exceed his allotted 40 hours for a total cost of $5,000. The board has recommended that Greg complete as much as he can within his 40 hours, and Julie will take over from there for 2025. Greg informed us that the MSM 434, revised estimated revenues, and MS1 forms are due now for tax rate setting. An extension was obtained for the MS1. Julie aims to have these finished and entered on the DRRA website by next Tuesday. Greg noted that Letty Bedard had administrative access to the DRRA portal, which should be a finance director's responsibility. The recommendation is to change her access to view only, which Letty agreed to. Currently, Jillian is the only one who can perform these tasks. Julie is now being trained as a backup to ensure continuity. Ambrose is currently the sole signer for checks. To ensure town functions can continue, especially in unforeseen circumstances, it was proposed to add a second signer. The board approved the motion to add Julie Stevens as a secondary signer on the account. Julie's job description includes budget responsibility. The board wants Julie to be involved in the budgetary process, help present budgets, and attend budget committee meetings. She will be compensated for attending these meetings as part of her role. We also discussed providing department heads with a standardized budget form, as Julie used in the past. Julie was asked to be the point person for Health Trust, but this involves HR responsibilities that she has no interest in. The recommendation is for the next town administrator to handle this, or for Jillian to act in the interim, though we are mindful of Jillian's current workload. A significant portion of our meeting was dedicated to discussing a proposed annual cost of living adjustment COLA policy for town employees. An initial proposal was circulated and an alternative was offered for discussion. The original proposal stated an intent to ensure employee compensation stays even with inflation, providing an annual pay increase of no less than the federal Social Security COLA, barring budgetary circumstances. The alternative proposal from Paul also stated the intent to adjust wages by the federal Social Security COLA, but with specific caveats, recognizing that current boards cannot bind future boards, acknowledging the 4% tax cap not to exceed 2.5%, and reserving the right to not provide a COLA if budgetary circumstances do not permit. The alternative aimed to avoid binding future boards, give flexibility, and introduced a cap due to the volatility of federal COLA rates ranging from 1.3% to 8.7% in recent years and the existing 4% tax cap. Concerns were raised about language that might set unrealistic expectations or overly bind future boards. The importance of COLA for employees to keep pace with inflation and maintain the value of their pay was highlighted, especially given the competitive job market for municipal employees. The potential for a cap to deter prospective employees was also a point of debate. It was clarified that COLA is separate from merit-based increases. A compromise to cap the COLA at 4% to align with the tax cap was considered, but ultimately some board members expressed discomfort with any specific cap. Mark Kennedy advocated against any cap, stating it sends a negative message to employees. Melissa Litchfield questioned the policy's implementation across other towns, expressed discomfort with the focus on employee satisfaction over taxpayer representation, and suggested taking the decision to the voters. Liz Faria called the policy hot air and not enforceable, suggesting employee departures are due to leadership issues, not compensation. Janice Wares emphasized that employees have bills and appreciated the acknowledgement of inflation, advocating for a consistent approach to COLA. Jim Hodger commended the intent to support employees as the town's most important resource, but noted the policy's non-binding nature and suggested that compensation is broader than just salary, including benefits like health insurance. After extensive discussion, a motion to adopt Paul's language without a specific cap, as amended by Andy, was made and seconded. However, given the significant discussion and the current vacancy on the board, the motion was withdrawn, and a subsequent motion to table the COLA policy discussion until a full board is present was made, seconded, and approved. We want to assure all town employees that this board highly values our staff and the financial discussions are about fiscal responsibility. We then opened the floor for general public comment and committee updates. A question was raised about the hiring process for new town employees, specifically the town administrator. The previous process involved initial interviews by 2 select board members, narrowing candidates, then full board interviews with input from other departments. It was suggested to make the initial interview process broader and more inclusive, involving staff members like Jillian and Daphne. In response to a public question, it was clarified that there was no severance package for the outgoing town administrator, Andrea Hansen. A neighbor asked about the electric co-op subcommittee. The coalition's proposed rate was higher than current utility rates, so the initiative stalled. However, with rising rates, it might be something the Energy and Efficiency Committee revisits. Jim Michaud had a visit to the fire station and saw the new off-road tanker, which has been completely rebuilt and is a valuable asset to the town. Deputy Chief Roy was commended for this accomplishment. Letters regarding preliminary property assessment changes have been sent out. It is important to understand that this will not be applied to the current tax rate, and a new tax rate will be set. These are preliminary valuations. A second stage will involve property measurements. If you have questions or wish to dispute your valuation, you must call the number on the letter by the 5th of September. We urge residents not to panic over the initial numbers, as the tax rate is not yet finalized, and the final number will be compared to the average for the entire town. Equipment was installed at a property next to Brentwood Power without site approval. The Planning Board is working to achieve compliance by requiring a site approval plan with a site walk scheduled for next Saturday at 9 a.m. The primary concern is the shielding of equipment from the highway. A preliminary site plan has been submitted, and an updated plan is being developed, scheduled for the second meeting in September. There was a lot of discussion this week about Janice Ware's statement to the Select Board concerning COLA. In the interest of fairness and transparency, we are going to play the complete unedited audio of her statement for you now.
Janice, speaking from the library, as another employee input. I know it's not valued as much as people who live in town, but I do work for the town. I work here because I really appreciate my position. I love what I do, and I love doing it for the people.
Thank you.
However, I do have a mortgage to pay. I do have car payment. I do have bills just like everybody else. And I think that's what we're forgetting. It's not that we're looking to, take money out of the hands of our people. I for one, have great relationships with the people at my place. My patrons, I care about them and I worry about them, and I don't like to see them go without. But I can't work here if I can't pay my bills. I'm not asking for any particular amount. What we've always done before is the Select Board comes up with a number each year that they feel is a reasonable number. And then we try to build a budget around that number or somewhere around there. And then it goes to BudCom and gets approved there. That process is, I feel, what Letty's trying to do, except she's just trying to acknowledge that by putting something in place that says, there is a Social Security number, and that's because of inflation. Have you gone grocery shopping lately? It's not inexpensive. And on top of that, we have obligations in our job to continue our education for some of us. And we don't take that lightly. Okay. So I just want to say, as an employee, it's just very difficult to always be, or to feel as though there isn't any respect for what we do. And I feel badly that a lot of people are leaving, but I will tell you, it's not been easy this last year to hear the kinds of things I keep hearing. So take it for what it's worth.
I think
2
this
cents,
board-
maybe
I
it's a
think-
penny?
Yeah, I think this board highly values the staff and the employees here. I mean, I'm here on a regular basis, letting them know that, and I think the people who are here would attest to that. I'm going to take one more comment. The last
just-
comment I saw was Jim Hajar.
Can I just say that I do think my patrons really appreciate us. I just don't always know if others do.
Thank you.
When I hear this, I feel that what isn't being taken into account in this statement is that our seniors who live on Social Security alone would never see their COLA increase. People in town who only have Social Security do not get merit-based raises, and they pay for insurance out of pocket, including any increases in their premiums. When they get a COLA raise, they are essentially being asked to give whatever it may be to someone else so that they won't quit their position in town. I am not advocating that town employees should not receive raises, only that those who will be affected by COLA increases should be considered first, especially when they are paid so much less than the average town employee. I did receive some feedback on the COLA discussion. The sender of the email wishes to remain anonymous. With that said, here is the email that we received. As I was in attendance at this week's select board meeting, I was witness to a rather contentious discussion concerning COLA raises for municipal workers. It was suggested that municipal workers get a COLA wage increase for no less than the federal COLA increase for Social Security recipients. It was then suggested that the increase be capped at 4%. As municipal workers do receive compensation increases through collective bargaining and through merit-based raises, my feeling is that if a COLA increase was to be put in place, it should be no more than the percentage determined by the government for Social Security recipients such as myself. I too have a car payment and other bills to pay and must budget accordingly. I was especially disturbed and disappointed about the veiled threats of depriving residents of services if requests for monetary compensation were not met. Since we live in a small town of approximately 4,600 people, I would assume that individuals seeking employment here would take that population number into consideration when setting expectations of salary and benefits. There were frequent statements equating monetary compensation with appreciation. There should be no doubt that our municipal workers are appreciated for the services they provide. Monetary compensation is a totally different matter, which is based on the town's ability to have a budget that does not raise taxes beyond what is truly needed and able to be tolerated by our residents.
Brentwood Joe's Town Hall podcast is produced and brought to you by Cryout Media Creations, your go-to team for AI audio and video magic. From promotional spots to custom voiceovers, marketing, and entertainment, we make your ideas come alive. Visit cryoutmediacreations.com and tell us about your vision.
September is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. It's a time to raise awareness, share hope, and remind everyone it's okay to ask for help. Suicide touches millions of lives, but no one should struggle in silence. This month, let's talk openly about mental health, learn the warning signs, and connect each other to support. And remember, if you or someone you know is in crisis, call or text 988 to connect with the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Together, we can save lives.
This week's shout-out is to Ward Burns, who through his efforts with NEFSA, the New England Fishermen's Stewardship Association, is working hard to preserve the lobster populations in New England well into the future. One of the methods of preservation Ward is advocating and educating people on is V-notching. V-notching is the practice of cutting a small V with a V-notching tool or scissors on the right side end of an egg-bearing female lobster's tail, making it illegal to harvest and ensuring her egg production well into the future, greatly increasing the lobster population for years. If you see Ward, thank him for his extensive conservation efforts. You can learn more at anyfisherman.org. They have many events to raise awareness. You can also donate to their cause. Thank you, Ward. Don't forget the Daddy-Daughter Dance on October 3rd. There is a municipal building committee meeting on September 9th at the town office at 1:30 p.m. On September 10th, there is a spaghetti dinner fundraiser at the Brentwood Fire Department from 5 to 7 p.m. And on September 11th, there is a 9/11 memorial ceremony at the Brentwood Fire Department at 9:45 a.m. Again, if you can't make it, please take a moment during the day for remembrance. September 13th is Household Hazardous Waste Collection Day at the Highway Shed from 9 a.m. till 12 p.m. As always, please thank any first responders you may meet, especially our military. Let them know how much we appreciate all they do for us. Until next time, I hope you all stay well and have a great week.
Vote for your future, let your voice be heard. In the